Hello, so this is a very different video to what I normally do, but I thought it would be cool to share my top 10 comebacks of 2019, especially since we're at the end of this year. And this year has been especially intense for K-pop, particularly in terms of comebacks, and as a multi-stan, all this incredible music has been really overwhelming. Groups like DAY6, Stray Kids, BLACKPINK, BTS, ATEEZ, GOT7, and so many more have made comebacks this year, with some of them making multiple. So, what I'm going to do is rank the top 10 comebacks from this year for me personally, as well as talk about my favorite song or songs off of each album. This list is going to be more or less based on the title tracks that hooked me in the most or the quickest, the amount of times that I listened to the albums, whether that be streaming on Spotify or playing them on my phone. This is definitely not going to be based on any sort of definite numbers, but rather which ones that I remember that I found myself playing the most, whether that be in the car, studying, or traveling back and forth between school and home. And lastly, how much of each album I played, because there were definitely some albums where I only listened to like half of it, or some of the songs, or all of it. I will also be doing honorable mentions at the end, so let's jump into it. My number 10 album is Eric Nam's Before We Begin, and my favorite song off of it is Wonder. I'm an absolute sucker for slower songs, and this one just immediately grabbed me. So Eric's album is my number 10, mostly because I just got into him about a month ago when this album came out, but I was immediately hooked, so I've liked this album for the shortest amount of time out of all of them. Eric's voice is beautiful, his lyrics are beautiful, and he's just a beautiful person all around from what I've seen of him so far. This album was also a very nice change of pace considering all the songs are in English, so it was much easier to quickly be able to sing along to the songs, and in fact, I got so hooked on it so quickly that I bought a ticket to see Eric on his tour in February, so I'm very excited for that. Number 9 is TXT, the Dream Chapter Magic album. My favorite songs off of this album are Popping Star and Angel or Devil. Popping Star is just so cute and bubbly that it kind of got stuck in my head pretty much right away, and Angel or Devil just slaps and I love listening to it. I won't lie, it took me a second to get into this album when I first heard it, but after a few listens I was pretty hooked and it actually made me stan TXT. The only song I'd listened to them before this album was Crown and none of their other songs. The songs on the Dream Chapter Magic were really catchy and feel-good type songs. That being said, only half of the album really stuck with me once I had kind of been listening to it for a lot more time, and these few songs made their way onto my queue or played in my head constantly, and not the other half. So my number 8 is GOT7, Say My Name, and my favorite song is Thursday. A huge part of this is because Thursday reminds me of Teenager. Thursday is just so lighthearted and fun, and the stages were so cute and amusing to watch. As for the album though, it kind of hurts to put GOT7 so far back on this list because they were the second group that I ever got into. However, as much as I love them, I really didn't listen to this album in its entirety very often. Just like with TXT's album, I tended to only listen to half of it, but I put GOT7's album one step higher than TXT because I listened to the other half of GOT7's album a little bit more than I did with TXT's, if that makes sense. My number 7 album is Stray Kids, Clay One Miro, and my favorite song off of it is Boxer. This song is an absolute bop and it always makes me so happy and hype whenever I listen to it, no matter how crappy of a day I might have been having. And the video is also super cute and I just love watching it. It's always so amusing. I'll be honest, I thought this album would end up much higher on my list than number 7 because I remember listening to it pretty much constantly. This is one of the albums that defined my spring semester and was one that I was constantly listening to. However, when I really think about it, I really only listened to the album between March when it came out and July, I think. It's still one of my favorite albums though, and I get really hype when any song from it plays because I have a lot of good memories associated with this album as well. My number 6 album is DAY6, The Book of Us Entropy, and my favorite songs are Stop Talking and Ouch. The chorus of Stop Talking immediately grabbed me, and I think that was the part of the song that was in the album spoiler, and it was one of the songs that I was most excited for when the album spoiler dropped. And Ouch also just immediately grabbed me, and it's just so like fun to listen to and like sing along to as well. Just like with GOT7's album, I'm really surprised that I put DAY6 so far back on this list, considering they're my everything. I've said in previous videos about them that they are like home to me, so I feel like I'm betraying them by putting them so far back, but it's okay because their other album from this year ranked higher than this one. As for this album though, I streamed it pretty hardcore when it came out and for the few weeks after because I was so excited. But after that, I started really only gravitating towards my two favorites, Stop Talking and Ouch. This album was also in competition with Jackson Wang's album, Paris' album, who are a non-K-pop group, and my number 5, which is ATEEZ's All to Action album. My favorite songs off of All to Action are Win and Sunrise. Win is an absolute bop, and it just makes me so happy to hear it and listen to it. And Sunrise kind of makes me a little bit emo, but it is a really beautiful song, and I love listening to it. So All to Action was my first official comeback with ATEEZ, and it absolutely did not disappoint. This album had bangers and songs that pulled in my heart, and there was something very cinematic about it, which I really enjoyed. I remember that there was a solid week or two that I streamed this album from top to bottom without shuffling because I loved it too much to play it all jumbled up. However, because it came out right around the time that Monsta X dropped a couple music videos and their album, DAY6 obviously dropped Entropy right after this album, and Jackson Wang dropped his album, I got very overwhelmed by all the new music there was to listen to, and I couldn't really decide like what I wanted to listen to, or I found myself just trying to keep up, and it made it very hard to really listen in depth to everything. And I feel like that's kind of a lame reason, but it's the honest truth. My number 4 is BLACKPINK's mini album Kill This Love, and my favorite song on it is Kick It. This was one of my favorites from the very beginning, I think, besides the chant part in the middle, which when I first heard it, I thought it was kind of lame, but now it's definitely grown on me. And I also know every single word to this song because I ended up loving it so much. Seeing this live also made me love it way more as well because BLACKPINK performed it at soundcheck and during the show. Out of all of the albums on this list, I think this one surprised me the most in terms of its placement. Based on my initial reaction to Kill This Love music video and the whole mini album, I really honestly did not think that it would end up so high. Now that I've listened to it a few times and watched the video a few times, I don't really know how I feel. I don't really like this part. Overall, like, this album really isn't doing much for me. I'm gonna have to listen to all of them more to really like them, I think. I really was not feeling this album very much when it came out, and I know that part of that was because I was so salty about BLACKPINK getting yet another mini album rather than a full album or anything close to that. And it all sounded pretty similar to everything else that they had released in the past. However, this album definitely grew on me, and to this day I cannot go for a ride in the car without playing at least one song off of this album. And sometimes I just play the whole thing on repeat if I'm really feeling it. Also, seeing the songs performed at Coachella and seeing them live myself on their tour most definitely had an impact on my opinions and change of heart. My number 3 album is Stray Kids' Clé Le Ventre, however you pronounce either of those words, sorry if I butchered it. And my favorite songs are Booster and Sunshine. They're very opposite vibes, but they're the two that I find myself putting on repeat the absolute most out of them all. So this album is just so freaking beautiful, and I know it basically just came out, but I really honestly can't stop listening to it. I have the song stuck in my head so often, and I just really enjoy listening to it, whether that be on shuffle or from cover to cover. It really doesn't matter. I just want to be listening to this album all the time. And I really had a hard time picking a favorite song because all the songs are just so beautiful and wonderful, and they all sound so good, and I get so happy anytime any of the songs come on, and I think that makes this album pretty special. My number 2 album is DAY6, The Book of Us, Gravity, and my favorite songs off of it are How to Love and Wanna Go Back. These were 2 of my favorites when I heard the album spoiler, and hearing Doan sing on Wanna Go Back really made me so excited. I think I kind of like lost my mind when I did the first listen for this album over the summer when it came out. But yeah, those 2 are definitely my favorites. So as for the album, while it is short, it was one that I really seriously could not stop listening to, even up until now. This album has lots of happy memories associated with it for me, and it really reminds me of summer, which is obviously when it came out. This album has comforted me a lot, and it very much still does. I also got to see every single one of the songs live when I saw DAY6 in Boston, so this album holds a special place in my heart, and I think it always will. And finally, my number 1 album of 2019 is ATEEZ One to All. My favorite song on this album is Illusion. Illusion, even though it was the second song off of the album that I heard, it immediately grabbed me. The sound and the video were so playful, which at the time, that was a side of ATEEZ that I hadn't seen because I was still getting into them at the time and really only listening to and watching the music videos for Say My Name and Holla Holla constantly. So it was a really nice change to see them be fun and playful and cute rather than intense and whatnot. So I was about a week late in listening to ATEEZ's One to All album, but once I finally did, it grabbed me so hard and it has not let go. Like I said, Illusion grabbed me immediately. It was so summery and catchy and I couldn't stop listening to it and still can't. Wave also gave me full body chills and I was bopping so much to it when it came out. And I played these videos no less than 1 million times a day, every day over the summer, which I'm sure my mom hates me for because of how many times the songs got played. And even recently, I would watch the Illusion music video to procrastinate working on my homework, which is terrible, but it's true. The other songs on this album are also just so beautiful, and I love listening to them. This truly was the ATEEZ album that fully made me into an A-teenie, and I'm very grateful for that. So I have quite a few runner-ups, and in no particular order, these were CHUNGHA's Flourishing album. So I barely knew anything about CHUNGHA before this album came out, and the only song that I really liked of hers at the time was Gotta Go. So Flourishing was my first real experience listening to her music in depth. When the album came out, I vibed really hard with it. However, I tended to only listen to Snapping and Flourishing as time went on and kind of left the others completely behind. Don't get me wrong, it's a good album, but I really only gravitated towards these 2. Next is Woosung's Wolf album. I really only listened to Face and not the others for a really long time. Face was kind of the only one that grabbed me and drew my attention. The others, they would play in my shuffle, and sometimes I would listen to them, but most of the time I would just skip right past them and try to find something else that I wanted to listen to. GOT7's Spinning Top album was one that just didn't really do it for me, and I didn't really want to listen to it all that often. The only songs that really grabbed me were Mirojule and Page. Overall, the album was just boring to me when I first listened to it, and I still tend to really only play those 2 songs. Stray Kids, Clay 2, Yellow Wood is a runner-up for me because half of it was obviously songs that I'd heard before because they were all the mixtapes so far, which were on the previously released albums. And I did really enjoy the 3 new songs, but I didn't really listen to them that often by the end of August, and I still really don't. NCT Dream's Boom album was one that took me quite a while to get into. I remember when it came out, I didn't really like Boom, and then when I listened to the full album, the songs didn't do much for me. However, the more that I listened to it, some of the songs grew on me, and these were the ones that I tended to listen to the most. which ended up being about like half of the album. Despite that, I stopped listening to it around like mid-October, I want to say. Everglow's Hush mini album is one that I really didn't listen to in its entirety. I know it's only 3 songs, but honestly, the only song that I really listened to was Adios because that shit slaps. I'm so sad I didn't get to do a reaction video for that one because I think it would have been really funny and good. I still remember like the first time watching it, and I still really want to learn the dance, but the other songs I don't listen to all that much. Both of Monsta X's Follow album and the one they released in February that has Alligator on it, these were both albums that I kind of forgot about and stopped listening to, and I really hate saying that because Monsta X are one of my original groups, but it's the honest truth. It's also most definitely a result of being upset as hell that Wonho's contract got terminated because he was my bias in Monsta X and he's my ultimate bias. So it's really hard to listen to their songs and hear his voice knowing that he's not in the group anymore. The last runner-up is BTS's Map of the Soul Persona album. This was one that I was excited for when it was coming out, and I woke up at like 4 a.m. to be able to watch the video and like do a reaction video. But I won't lie, I forgot about this album after a couple of weeks. I don't stan BTS super hard, but I do like them a lot. However, this album, I guess, just didn't do it for me because I can't remember listening to it past mid-May, and it's not one that I come back to very often like I do with the others. So there we have it. That is my top 10 K-pop comebacks of 2019 list, and it was a lot more difficult to rank these albums than I thought it would be, but I did enjoy it. And essentially, what doing this video has reinforced for me is that being a multi is really hard. It's super hard to keep up with all of these amazing artists, but I can't help liking multiple groups and soloists. They just are so talented and have so much to give and show that I want to support them all. And I kind of think I'm in the shit for life, so here we are. Anyway, I might consider doing more videos like these if this one is received well, so who knows? I'm also really curious about what your top 10 comebacks were, so feel free to leave it in the comments.